This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Today's show was pulled from September 11 of 2012. This is a one-segment show. I'm going to get right to it. Here is Greg Rempe from September 11, 2012.
No surprise, at least to me, 11 years ago to the day, September 11th, 2001, a heinous, the most heinous act on this soil of terrorism ever enacted by a group of, I don't know how else to say it, fuck faces. And murdering thousands of people and turning our own implements of transportation against us. Preying on our freedoms, our internal... Look, I think, if we're being honest, I think most people still feel that the majority of human beings are good people, by and large. There's some a-holes out there that you can probably look at and realize a-hole. But prior to this, who was going to ever think that you were going to put on a group of guys in 4 different planes and have them turn around, fly these planes into buildings, kill innocent people? And I was watching some 9/11 stuff on the television 2 nights ago, and I am I was listening to a talk show earlier around 3 or 4 o'clock, and the host didn't realize the second he woke up, September 11th, regardless of year, after 2001, to me, you can't say the date September 11th and not have me automatically go right back there every single time, every single second. No matter how much time, 11 years is a long time. Imagine, if you know somebody that has passed away, through any type of tragic event or whatever, 11 years, it's still probably, especially for the people that are affected, it brings it right back any day. And September 11th, for a lot of us, still get you right back there. So whenever anybody says September 11th, it's just not a date to me. And hopefully it's not for you. But with time, it tends to get away from some people for whatever reason. Maybe because they were not, like my daughter was 3 months old when it happened. So it doesn't mean the same thing that it does to the people that were alive and were literally witnessing all of this happen as it was happening live on television. Getting reports that there were jetliners flying into the World Trade Center, and then one going down in the Pentagon, and then there was another one out in the field in western Pennsylvania. So for me, whenever anybody says September 11th, I'm always right back to that event. For me, it was driving out in the middle of Sandusky, Ohio, literally in the middle of nowhere, and listening to the Howard Stern show. And hearing Robin Quivers break over Howard and say, there was a report of a plane flying into the World Trade Center. And then 10 minutes after that, there was another plane that hit the other World Trade Center. And then I immediately switched over to the all-news station. It was all over the place at that point. But I was a big Howard Stern fan at that point when he had moved over to satellite radio. So I didn't know if there was some type of trick being played or whatever the case may be. But that turned out to be not the case very quickly, as all of the radio stations were turning over to news stations for the coverage. So for me, I know exactly where I was. I'm sure all of you know exactly where you were when you heard about the first plane hitting. A lot of people saw the second plane hit live. Where were you? Where were you? What did you think? Were you scared? Did you think it was coming to your town next? I was scared. I turned around in the middle of nowhere, probably where I was safest, and raced back an hour and 10 minutes through downtown Cleveland to get back home because I didn't know. I didn't know if they were going to be flying planes into Cleveland or Akron or Indiana or Pennsylvania or whatever. I was scared. I had to get back and be with my wife because I didn't know what was going on. Who would ever thought? So to hear that 11 years removed, that the day, if somebody says September 11th, that it doesn't resonate for people that were alive and saw it happen is unfathomable to me. And I will not, as long as the show is on the air, I will never let one show pass without at least giving it that reference and respect that it deserves at the end of every single show. That will never go away. This is not a political show. I'm not making any political statement. I'm just merely giving time to an event that happened in our lifetime that was probably one of the, if not the most significant event that has happened in regards to an attack on us. Let me go back to quickly into the chat room here and see what people are weighing in on. Chris Zordel was listening to the radio at work, as was I. Don G was a New Yorker stuck in a Chicago hotel. Randy Hill was rounding and saw it hit the tower in a patient's room. Sylvie Curry still hasn't forgot the day John Kennedy was assassinated. Just like September 11th, never forget. Fred Neville, what is his second job stocking shelves? Dave Haber, changed my life. Just had a newborn baby and felt helpless. I hear that. Grand Rounds in Oklahoma City, one of the residents' husbands was a United pilot. Chris, my son that was leaving for the Air Force also that day wasn't able to go because the plane's being grounded. Mojo Bricks was living in Lincoln, Nebraska, and got a phone call. Was told to turn on the television. David Quayles thought it was the beginning of World War III, Armageddon. Sylvie Curry was scared, and husband was in Boston, scheduled for the same flight number on September 13th. Wow. Levi Bosca, sitting in health class, stopped class, turned on the television to watch the live. Oh, man, watch that second plane go live and also at the Pentagon. Unbelievable. So, a lot of people that are at least in here sharing with us. I am a huge proponent, and there could be a very small majority of people that believe this as I do. But if people that are on radio and media now, not this kind of radio, but real radio, terrestrial, that's getting a mass audience at all in one shot, if they're going to disassociate the words September 11th and not automatically go back to the acts that happened on that day, to me, merely gives more credence to what I have said all along. If I was put in charge, if I was elected president, a groundswell, is it too late for me? I forgot to mention I'm running for president. Not really. I would have all of the TV broadcast stations or all these carriers or whatever. I would have each one install a 9/11 channel, and it would have continuous loops of what happened, aftermath. I know people don't want to see planes flying into the buildings over and over again. I want to have the documentaries. I want to make sure that no matter what, if for 1 second that you thought you forgot what it was like or what you felt like, you would be able to go back to that channel, turn it on, and remember exactly what the hell happened that day and how shitty it was and how shitty you felt and how helpless and scared you felt, because that's what you have to remember. Time passes, you become less attached or detached. The senses aren't the same. You're not as alert. You're not as vigilant. So I don't think there is any problem with having a dedicated channel that continually shows that over and over again. So you can bring up the youth with a knowing and a full understanding, because, look, 25, 30 years ago, you would not have this technology, this ability to be able to, I don't want to say relive it, but learn and see it again. And it's painful stuff. Imagine. I mean, can you imagine every year from now on, for as long as these people are alive, everybody, it sounds crazy, but, there were people on those planes. I mean, all of the people that died because they couldn't get out of the fire, because the building collapsed, because the plane slammed in and burned them up on contact because of the jet, all of those people. There were people on the planes, right? And I hope nobody forgets the fact that when you're watching the planes go in, you're seeing a plane go in, but there's people in the plane and they are dying. I mean, how tough is that for a parent that had somebody on that plane, or a kid that had a parent on that plane, or whatever? And that's what you see, right? That should make it real. That should make you never forget the fact that you could have had somebody on that plane too. And now for the rest of your mortal life until you die, at least once a year, you're going to see the planes go in there and see your loved one die every single time. And it's not going to change. We can never forget that. We can never, ever forget the fact that this happened and that people freaking died for no reason. I'm not talking about tragic events that happen in this country every single day, because it does. I'm not minimizing that. But to not wake up on any September 11th from the day after, from September 12th on and every year past, and not immediately go right back there is not right. And it's not going to happen on my watch, and it's not going to happen on this show's watch. We will make sure that we continue to give it respect on the way out of each and every show. And when September 11th rolls around, if I'm a day late or 2 days before or whatever, we will always do a segment on this show. And if it's the same thing 5 years from now and I'm talking about the same stuff, good, because guess what? We didn't forget. I didn't forget, which means you didn't forget. Because it's a disservice to all of those people that had no ability to do anything except sit there and realize this was it. Which allows me to end on this note. When we talk about tragedy, and then there's been a lot of tragedy over the past year as it relates to barbecue, people losing loved ones, we always go back to the same thing, always tell you the same thing. If you can't remember the last time you told your parents or your wife or your kids or your friends or your whatever, the people that mean the most to you, if you can't remember the last time you told them, I love you, or you mean a lot to me, or whatever, if you don't get those feelings out, tomorrow it could change. Your number could be pulled, their number could be pulled, and now it's too late. Can't live with regret. So don't. And you got to never forget.
Until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, Jon Solberg, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.